Welcome to the Angel Mystic Podcast. I am super excited you are listening because this is where spiritually open minds can come together to explore the wonders of angels, spiritual connections, and the art of manifesting. Hosted by me, Amanda Took, the Angel Mystic, your spiritual midwife to help you on your journey to a fulfilling and happy life. You may have seen me on ITV, Channel 4, or even in Fate and Fortune magazine. In each episode, we will delve into the mystical world of angels, offering you insights, guidance, practical tools to deepen your connection with the upstairs so that you can find inner peace, happiness, joy, and create the life that you want. Tune in for weekly, fun conversations, transformational insights that will elevate your spiritual journey and awaken your inner mystic. Please hit subscribe now as we embark on a transformational adventure with the Angel Mystic Podcast. Before we delve into the podcast this week, I just wanted to remind you that there's a very, very special event coming up. It's an in-person event. It's happening local near Kirby Longsdale, which is in Lancashire. It's a really easy, accessible venue, and it is called Angel Day. It is an angel workshop, a whole day connecting with your angels, connecting with the archangels, meditations, exercises, and also learning to read angel cards. It's £99 for the whole day. You get a goodie bag as well. If you would like to attend, go and check out the information in the show notes and see if there's still a place available because it is selling fast. I hope to see you there. Welcome back to my podcast, and today I have got a right treat for you all. I have got somebody that has helped me no end in my home, working with energy, and I just had to share her with you. Let me introduce you to Tracy from Tracy Longdon Consulting, and she is a Feng Shui expert. She is amazing. I've got some incredible things to share with you about how Tracy has helped me, but let me introduce you to her and you can get to know this wonderful woman. So thank you, Tracy, for coming on to the podcast, and welcome.
Hi, Amanda. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm blushing. No, thank you. It's always great working with you, and it is my passion anyway, so it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, same as me, really.
Yeah.
So, you have been doing Feng Shui for some time, haven't you? How long have you been into?
23 years since I qualified and started working with clients, and that's really when the learning starts, when you actually go to houses and make suggestions and see what happens as a result. So yeah, 23 years.
Brilliant. And you've also been on Ready Steady Cook doing Feng Shui as well.
Yes, I have. Did a Feng Shui edition because I was the secretary of the Feng Shui Society, and I was on there with the chairman. Live TV, anything could happen, and yeah, it did. The oven smoked and I was flapping it away, and anyway, it was stressful, but I won.
Did you? Brilliant. Well done you. So I'm going to start by maybe sharing some of the magic that I've experienced from Feng Shui, because to me, Feng Shui is essential. And I move house a lot, as you know. So you've been to many of my houses over the years. But there's two stories that really sort of, come to mind when I think about what we've done. And I remember when I moved to the farmhouse, and I hadn't lived in it very long, but as soon as I moved there, money dried up. It just went just wasn't flowing anymore, and everything felt hard work financially. And you came along with all your magic kit and Feng Shui'd my house and went, the finance area is in complete darkness, because there was that very solid wooden door at the front door that had no windows in it, into a porch that had no windows in it, and then another solid door into the house. And all of that area was finance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we weaved some magic, or at least you told me what to do, and we did it. And boy, did it work, because I remember after you'd left, we did all these tweaks and you left me with some changes to make. And then money started flowing again. And I took in 1 week the equivalent of 1 month's sales in my business. It
Wow.
was incredible,
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. So what do you have to say to yourself, or say to everyone about that? How did you make that sort of magic happen?
Well, it's not me. But Feng Shui, I just think Feng Shui is amazing. I just think it's a different way of looking at things without any blame or analysis. It's just like I think it brings hope. I think
Mm,
it's a great way of making a change in your life to something that maybe eludes you, that you've just never thought of doing it that way before. It doesn't have to be complicated. I'm really about a common sense approach to it, and just to empower people to understand what's going on and make their own changes as and when moving forward.
mm.
That's what gives me a buzz, really empowering people. It's just so powerful.
It really is. And it is about, just turning a few things around, perhaps in your house, changing position of things. Um, Obviously you're following, these different colors, these different metals, and you can explain this far better than me, but it's just, oh my goodness, you change a few things and
Yeah.
look what happens. I also remember another time that you came to my house and I wanted to manifest a relationship, and I had, in the relationship area, I had 7 hearts. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
And what happened? I got 7 dates from 7 different people because I had 7 hearts. And you're like, Amanda, you only need one. I'm like, oh,
Well,
that's where I've gone
well,
wrong.
two actually. You need two
Yeah,
hearts
two,
in
that
that
was it.
area. Yeah, just you really don't want seven on the go. I mean, one man's enough.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It is incredible. It
Yeah.
really is. So tell us, how did you get into this?
I got a book for Christmas from my mum, just out of the blue. I didn't know about Feng Shui. And I read it and I thought, oh, this is interesting. So then I bought another book. But the thing about Feng Shui, there are different approaches. And that book contradicted the first book. So then that got me a bit confused. And I think that's what happens when people first go into it and they start researching it. And if you Google it on the internet, you'll get about 15 different answers to the same question because there are different
Mm,
approaches. And I'm not saying mine is the way, but there are lots of different ways to approach it. It's about being consistent. So then I decided to train so that I could actually really understand it. And I trained with the Feng Shui Academy in Buxton. And that took over 2 years because I travel up because I was living down south. I travel up and live there for a week, learning stuff, going out, doing stuff, learning it. And then we'd go away and we'd try it out on our victims, I mean, our family and friends, and then go back again. And that would go on for 2 years until I was finally qualified. And as I said before, that's when I really started learning, actually working with clients and going to their houses and seeing what works. And the thing is, I stay in touch. I always stay in touch with my clients. So then I know. That's how I get my feedback and testimonials, because if you don't ask if anything's, what's going on, how are you going to know?
yeah.
And people's lives change. So what would be a priority one year, maybe meeting somebody, then the next year, maybe they might be struggling to have children or something, or they've got children, they need a bigger house, then they move. And honestly, it's people that I've been working with for 23 years now that I still send cards to every Chinese New Year, and they still reply to me with their news, and it's great.
Mm. Yeah, of course you do, because we've just had Chinese New Year, haven't we? And then, your little card came through the post and little, Happy New Year in Chinese. It's the snake, isn't it, this year?
Yeah. It's
And
a,
then you put in the what to do. So you put a little sticker in and it says you've got to move things around. What do we have to move around? What was it?
there's two special things. This is to do with a different type of feng shui called flying stars. And that changes every 4th of February. And it's like a little add-on that I give my clients in addition to the main feng shui. Just that every year on that date, there is an unlucky direction and that changes. So it's about protecting yourself from that. And there's a special type of wind chime that you need that you
Hmm.
just buy and you just move around your house every year. And there's 6 Chinese coins that, again, they're protectors, and they've got to go in certain places. So that's my excuse to contact people. But that's the way I find out how they're doing and hear their news. So yeah, hard work, but really, really worth it.
And it really does work, because I know myself, like, this year's been quite, I want to say, sticky energy for me. Things haven't been flowing very well at all.
Yeah.
And I've been waiting there's been a lot of balls in the air. I've been waiting for landing. And I did what you asked, but I must admit I didn't do it on the 3rd. It was a few days after. And I've moved the things around. And when I did, things started to flow.
Yeah.
It did it made a difference. It always makes a difference. You come with your kit. You've got a little briefcase, haven't you? And you've got all your stuff in there, and you don't just do Feng Shui, do you? You check the EMF in the house.
Oh, yeah. It's really important, actually, because we surround ourselves now with electrical items and mobile phones and Wi-Fi and smart speakers, and we never used to. So sleeping in a safe place is the most important thing, because if you don't sleep soundly, the body can't heal itself, the immune system can't kick in, and you just won't have, you can get ill, or just not having a good night's sleep impacts the whole of your life, doesn't it, if you're feeling groggy? So that's one of my top tips, actually. Make sure you sleep in a safe place. And if you've got a mobile phone, if you use it for an alarm, just switch it to flight mode. And if you don't, just switch it off. It really makes a big impact on you if you can just switch that mobile phone off at night. And anything else around. Electric blankets is another thing. Now, I've got an electric blanket. I'm not going to say don't have them, but you have to switch them off at the wall, not just at the thing, which I didn't realize until a few years ago when I was using my meter, and I just thought you could just switch it off. But then I used my meter and it was still really, really high. So you have to switch that thing off at the wall. I've got
crystals all over the place, shungite, black tourmaline, to help with all of that as well. But yeah, I know you come along with your little, and it beeps like crazy, doesn't it, when it gets danger zone?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you work with the energy of the earth as well, don't you?
Yes, so it's called geopathic stress. I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but it's very, very common, and it's actually caused by any distortion in the Earth's magnetic field, and that can be from deep digging for an extension, for example, if you have to dig down for foundations. So not if you're just digging a plant in, that'll be all right, but anything deep that's like in the neighborhood, if there's been an extension built or new houses, that triggers this to be released, and that can affect your quality of sleep, which then affects the immune system, which then can mean that you're not able to fight off diseases as well. So it has an impact on health in that way. And they've done studies in Germany on this, and they've mapped these geopathic stress lines, and they've mapped cancer patients actually sleeping on them. And in some places in Germany, they won't let somebody out of hospital, a cancer patient out of hospital, unless they've made sure the geopathic stress has been cleared first. They really, this country, I don't think anyone's even heard of it, but over there, it's big news. That's where they found it. So that's really important. So if you know that there's been some sort of distortion in the neighborhood, or you've had the extension yourself, or it's in your road or something, and you're not feeling great since, it could be geopathic stress. So it's worth bearing that in mind.
That's incredible. So it's a bit like spring cleaning, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And this is a great time to spring clean your life. Have a look around. I don't know if you watch the Sort Out Your Life with Stacey Solomon and all that stuff, but the way that those people feel after they've got rid of all the stuff they have in their house that just sort of creeps. And yes, we all got things we love, but we don't have to have 5 of them. So it's about being really strict with yourself, only keeping things in your house that you truly love. It's the first step to good feng shui, because otherwise it will clutter the space. So having a good spring clean. And also your loft is your future. So if you just shove things in the loft, that's not going to help. It's going to weigh down on top of you. Quite often I help people sell their houses, and I also, what's in the loft? And they say, oh, everything. I go, well, you just need to get a skip and you need to chuck it or move it out or put it in storage, because you can't move while that loft is full, because that is your future. Your loft is your future. So if you've got loads of stuff up there, you need to move it out. It just helps you move forward in career or in life generally, just clearing out the loft.
Wow. I'm in the middle of decluttering at the moment. I mean, I move house often, so I declutter regularly, but it is the first step in manifesting. You've got to make space for what it is that you want to bring in. And when you do physically declutter, it does emotionally help you declutter as well, doesn't it? So, yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
For sure. So, what are some simple things that people can do if they want to learn about Feng Shui and get into it?
Want to get into it? I think there's lots of sort of weekend courses and stuff. If people want to go to the Feng Shui Society.org.uk, that's who I'm registered and accredited with, and the people that train with them, they have the right, that they're qualified, and they've gone through a rigid structure of qualification, and they know what they're doing, and they've got appropriate assurance and stuff. So I think there's people that run weekend courses on that. Really, I'm trying to think how else. There were some people that I knew that were running courses, but a lot of them have retired now, so I don't actually do training because I don't have the time, because I just like working with clients, so I don't provide any training. But I mean, you can always get a book, but then you've got that whole thing about, is this understanding that sometimes a little bit of knowledge can be dangerous because you're not understanding the ramifications of putting something somewhere and what that also might do to something else.
Yeah.
So it's all about the element cycle and working with the elements, getting the right things in the right places. So sometimes it just helps to get an expert, or I don't know. You can obviously do the clearing of the clutter yourself, and that will make you feel amazing. But yeah, I'm also always happy to answer any questions if anyone wants to reach out to me. So
who is your typical client?
It's so varied. So I work with people with hardly any money, with not two pennies to rub together, and I work with millionaires who have flown me around their houses, and it's like, it doesn't really, there isn't, I know that women are more open to it, but then when I go to a house and the man is there, they can be skeptical at first, but then they love it when I get all my meters out and the science and they can see me using the meters, and that they can actually, that's true. I can see the needle going up on that needs sorting. So I think everybody loves to make fun of Feng Shui, but they're all secretly fascinated by it, and just ask lots of questions, and that's absolutely fine, because it is my passion, and I will never give this up. I will do this till I'm a little old biddy, which isn't far off. Yeah.
So do you have some top tips for people that they could do that's decluttering?
Not just decluttering. I would say have a really good look in your home and just double check that the things that you have actually raise your energy, because that's the key. If you've got things, sometimes you put things on walls and you stop seeing them. So really have a look with fresh eyes and just see if they actually do still raise your energy, because that's important. But also buy yourself flowers. Fresh flowers are fantastic Feng Shui. So we always feel like I always buy myself flowers because I understand the importance of them. But now this is me giving you permission to buy yourself flowers, because wherever you place them in your home will be beneficial. And if you can try and work out where the middle is, if you draw a line from corner to corner, and where those, on the four corners, where do those lines meet the health area? If you can put fresh flowers there, live in chi energy, that will really help with your vitality and energy levels, and just be really, really powerful, and also make you smile every time you see them. So I always buy myself fresh flowers, and they're always there. I've always got them in the relationship area as well, just to make sure that stays fresh. Fresh flowers anywhere are great. So it doesn't have to be a big bouquet either. It could just be one small flower in a little stem vase. It really is very powerful.
And obviously move them out there when they die. Don't leave dead
Oh
flowers.
God, don't leave them in. So the opposite is true of dried flowers. Dried flowers are dead, and that's dead chi, and that's not great. But you get artificial flowers, don't you? That can be quite creative. That aren't dead flowers. They're just sort of made, and they look amazing. So they're positive, but they will never be as positive as living flowers that will bring the living chi in. Also plants are fantastic feng shui if you put them in the right place. They're particularly good in the wealth area if you can work out where the southeast is. So work out where the sun rises, and just a bit after that will be the southeast. That can really help boost funds, because it's tree energy, tree and water energy. So I'm always recommending plants, but quite often people have plants, they're just not in the right place.
Yeah.
It's all about placement. You might have the right things, they just might need moving. And that's what I end up doing, just moving things around when I go to houses.
And it does feel different. I know the times that we've worked together when you've come and we've moved something, you go, oh yeah, that feels better. You can actually feel it, can't you? You really can. If you're saying about finding the middle of your house, so if people have a floor plan or they can work it out, and maybe there's a bit of an area and maybe a porch jolting out, or there's a garage. When you say middle, do they have to include those bits or not?
A garage you have to include if there's a door to it from inside the house. So if the energy in your house will flow into that by opening that door, you have to include the garage. Okay. It could be attached, but you might not be able to get to it through the house. And if it is, you can ignore that because it's not your internal space anymore.
Right.
You can ignore it if there's no door going to it. Porches and things, if they're tiny and they're stuck on, they're not very big. So porches you have to enclose. But I think the kind of trickiest thing is when it's an odd shape. So if someone's got a conservatory or a little section that's been added on, so it's not just a square or rectangle anymore, there's a little bit added. And it all depends on how big that thing is that's been added, whether you've got to include it. So if it's bigger than the space, you have to include it. I don't know if I'm explaining that right. But as an example, my sister, she got married and she tried for a child and she fell pregnant very, very quickly. And then they decided to build a conservatory, and they put the conservatory on and they tried for a second child, and they tried and they tried and they tried. It just wasn't working. So they went through IVF, 2 or 3 rounds of IVF, and it was financially draining, emotionally draining. And I think they were just about to give up, and it put such pressure on them. And I was going, let me try, let me help. And her husband was like, oh, I'm not really into it. I said, well, it doesn't matter, just be open to it. So I went, and they live in Plymouth, so it was quite a way. So I went down, and I could see straight away what had happened. In adding the conservatory, they had created a missing space, which happened to be in the north, which is the fertility area. So they kind of, that was why things weren't working. So I kind of squared it off, cleared the geopathic stress, put a water feature there because that's what is needed in the north. And Amy was born 9 months later, and she's 18, and it's like, oh my God. So it's sometimes that's what happens. If you don't understand when you put an extension on quite the ramifications of the size of that, you can inadvertently create a problem that wasn't there before. So that's,
Well, thank you. You've got a nice story about meeting your husband that's Feng Shui related, hasn't it?
Yeah. So do you remember I mentioned the health area is important? If whatever you place there, you can actually create. So the imagery and symbolism, whatever you put there. So I used to have a picture of my cat there because I love my cat. But life revolved around my cat. So I wasn't going on holiday because I didn't want to leave her and all that stuff. So when I understood, I moved it. And instead, because I was single, I put a picture of a man and a woman, and they're having a romantic hug and kiss in a car. And I thought, that looks lovely. That's what I want. So I placed that in place of the cat in the health area. And not long after, I got a phone call, and it was my friend, and she was working with someone, and she said, I think you'll get on. He's from Liverpool. He's only here for 6 months, but I really think you get on. So she set us up on a blind date and we just hit it off. It was just, we just didn't stop talking and laughing. But he lived in Liverpool and I lived in Swindon, and they're quite far apart. So we used to meet halfway in motorway services, and we'd leave one car there and we'd go off for a while and then come back and we'd end up hugging and kissing in the car. And I suddenly realised, that's what I've created. I've created this artwork of a man and woman, but it was gut wrenching because we were too far apart, and it was just like always hard to say goodbye. But yeah, so once I understood that, I kind of moved that picture elsewhere. Well, I replaced it with a couple closer, and then we got engaged and got married. So yeah, happy ending.
That's a lovely story. Thank you for sharing it. Have you got any other stories that you'd like to share about Feng Shui?
Trying to think.
Being on the spot now, aren't I?
Do you have any other stories? I mean, you can use it for anything. That's the beauty of it. You can help it. It can help you if you've got financial difficulties. Help with your love life, with health. I even work with businesses as well. I've worked with huge Chinese restaurants, high-end, one in Liverpool that I work with, and I've worked with little chip shops on the corner in Birmingham. You know, it doesn't really matter. You can use Feng Shui for anything. I just love it. It's just, it doesn't matter. Whatever eludes you, this just might be the thing that unlocks it.
Yeah, yeah. I totally get that. I mean, I've had, loads of different experiences from it, and I position everything around Feng Shui now. When I'm thinking of moving house, when I was thinking about moving in here, I was working out which way to have my furniture, which way to have my bed. It's all of these things, like where you sit is important, isn't it?
Yeah, your bed position particularly is important. So ideally, the pillow end of the bed needs to be against a solid wall. So you wouldn't want that under a window or against a radiator or anything like that. And you need to be able to see the door, but not with your feet directly pointing out the door, because sleep won't be as sound like that. So lots of people have their beds on the wall where the door is. So they've got the actual door is going straight to the pillow end of your bed. And that doesn't feel good. You can't be restful. If you think about, if you go into a restaurant and you pick a table, you would probably pick one so you can sit with your back to a wall and you've got then command of the room. You can people watch then. No one's coming up behind you. You've got your back against a solid wall, so you're relaxed and you can see everything that's going on. That's the concept in the bedroom, that your bed is against a solid wall and you can see everything that's going on in front of you. You don't want to be in line with the door, or definitely not with your head, the back of your head to the door. So sleeping is, without good sleep, everything suffers. So that is quite a biggie. If you can move your bed. If you can't move your bed and it is in line with the door, just shut the door. That also will help you feel more restful and relaxed at night. You just don't want that door open with the energy coming straight into you. Just shut the door.
I think front doors are important as well, aren't they?
Yeah, front doors, the direction that they face is quite important, because that's the energy that you get when you open the door. So in my house in Swindon, my door was facing north. And that's the quietest. That relates to midnight. It's the quietest direction. So my house wasn't a party house. My house was a haven, somewhere where I could recuperate, rest, recharge, and it was just my little safe space. If it'd been the other way around and my door was facing south, that would be a party house. So the energy that I got whenever I opened the door, that full-on sun energy, I'd be having parties every weekend. It really does affect you, and all the different directions have a different impact depending on where they are. But the direction is also, personally, you're either an east or a west person connected with your date of birth, and I always calculate that for clients, and I can tell you then whether the door is actually supporting you or not. And you can't always get that, and you're really not going to move your door. So if you can't be supported by the door, then we need to make sure that when you sleep, the pillow end of your bed is supporting you or you are located in that sector. So if you're a west person, you ideally would be in the northwest or the west, and vice versa with east. So that is also a factor that I always check out with my clients. And where it's impossible to do that, we then try and place that person wherever they spend most time in the house, apart from when they go to bed. So if there's an office or a kitchen that someone spends a lot of time in, ideally then that would support them as well, so they are supported in the house. So that's just one other thing to bear in mind.
Because you can do the bagua, which is the chart that you put over the floor, isn't it? Over the floor plan, over the whole house, or you can do it in individual rooms as well.
Ideally, I sometimes do it. I just do it for the bedroom for people, because it can confuse if you do it over lots of different rooms, because it can contradict the whole floor plan.
Yeah.
But the bedroom is your personal space. So when we've got a family and there's the maybe grown-up kids, I look at their bedrooms for their personal priorities sometimes, because they might want different things to what their parents want. But ideally, you'd lay the bagua over, you'd use the whole floor plan for downstairs and upstairs. And then if there are any areas missing or something that you'd struggle to energize, you can use your bedroom for that. That's kind of the advice I give.
So just before we finish, what are the areas that you're talking about? So when you divide the house up into sections.
Okay, yeah. So the middle is always the health area, the very middle bit. I've mentioned that. But you've also got, in the southwest is the relationship area. The south is fame. That's to do with respect and recognition in life. We've got the southeast, which is money, wealth. So that's really important. That's where we want the plants. East is the elders, to do with your past and to do with your own childhood and positions of authority, like managers at work or the government. I'm going backwards now. And northeast is quiet contemplation. Quiet contemplation is all about your own self-esteem and how you feel about yourself. And that's actually sometimes the cure to finding the most appropriate and happy relationship. Because unless you feel good about yourself, you're not likely to attract a healthy relationship to you if you're in like a position of need or whatever. And that was like me and Ken. When I met him, I'd given up on, I kind of, men are just trouble. I'm all right on my own, she says. And then I decorated the northeast area because that was rising damp stairwell. And I put this gorgeous picture of this woman on her own with a glass of red, and she just looked so happy. So that was all at the same time that I got the phone call that sort of happened. So yeah, quite a contemplation, how you feel about yourself. Northeast. North is the journey area, and that's to do with career and your journey through life. Where am I going now? Northwest is helpful friends. That's friendships in life, organisation and planning, and people being there for you when you most need them. And the West is children and your own creativity and romance. I think I've mentioned all of them.
Yeah, it sounds like you have. Now we've been talking about it. I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to have a back and go over some things. And I often refer, because when you come, you do a proper report, don't you? I often refer back to my report, and if I'm going to put something new in my house, like I got a picture at Christmas, which is lovely. I had to look at my plan of which is the best area for this picture. So I do live it to the letter, to be fair, as much as I know anyway. And I've always, really valued what you've done for me. So thank you. And thank you for coming on the podcast to talk about it.
Very welcome.
If people want to get in touch with you, I'm going to put all your details in the show notes. And if they want a consultation, they'll be able to get hold of you and
fantastic.
Get them into your house, into their houses, and have you there sorting it all out for them.
Yeah, and
it takes a long time, doesn't it?
It does. 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes, depending on the house. But I quite often do things over Zoom in different countries now,
do you?
and link up with a portable device. So that's that's great, actually, because it's less of my energy with the travel. And I can see, I really want to see the space. And although it's never as good as a physical visit, sometimes people are just too far away. And I've had great results with that. So bear that in mind as well.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your time today, Tracy. Lovely
Thanks,
to talk
Amanda.
to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If so, please hit follow and share my message by sharing with your friends. It would be amazing if you can leave a review. All this will help, and it activates the universal law of the more you give, the more you receive. So it's a win-win. You can find more good stuff between episodes over on social media. Just search The Angel Mystic on Facebook, Instagram or TikTok, or check out the links in the show notes. I'd love for you to connect more over in my free group in Abundance Manifesting, all on Facebook. Hope to see you there.